Let's now further look into critical discourse analysis, neoliberalism, and globalization, and multiple discourses which have been generated about it. According to Holbrook, neoliberalism as a social system and an ideology has invaded discourse after its vigorous introduction into economic and social world. And there has been a lot of discourse generated about it, both in its favor as well as against it. So both kinds of discourses have invaded social and economic world. Discourse is deemed to reproduce and cement neoliberalism. So discourse has been a major source for enhancing or promoting the ideas on which neoliberalism is based on. Fairclough observed that all the highly complex and diverse contemporary processes of globalization inherently have a language dimension. So, language plays a key role, discourse plays a key role in the promotion of ideas similar to neoliberalism, and in order to extend its manipulative tools further to common people, to the markets. So language serves as a key tool in the promotion of such ideas, involving, because such promotions involve dialectical relations between diverse social elements or moments, always including discourse. So such developments in society always include a powerful use of discourse. It involves not only ideological interplay but also power relations being distributed, being divided in people, being divided in institutions. So such developments, such as neoliberalism, can be a good platform for critical discourse studies. In addition to Fairclough's seminal work on critical discourse analysis of neoliberalism and globalization, which were published in 2000, 2003, 6, 9, 2010, there have been several other critical approaches to analyze critical discourse analysis of neoliberal discourses. If we have to, and some of them have been involved in producing counter hegemonic discourses also in relation to neoliberal discourses. Jessup 2013 have outlined some approaches or dimensions of the examination of neoliberalism or neoliberal discourses. So he sees 5 dimensions through which or from which we can look at or look into the discourses of neoliberalism. The first approach is about examination of how its ideology emerged. We can trace it historically. This includes the discussion of Hayek, and we can see during the 1940s that was dismissed by mainstream economists. During 1940s, this philosophy was dismissed by mainstream economists, and it was seen as a very imaginative philosophy which somehow was not possible, but it gained its currency in 1970s world crisis, which was created by OPEC countries. So this emerged as a crisis policy which actually convinced the Western world that they should go for a free market which would not create such hurdles for them in the future. Second approach is based on viewing neoliberalism as a political project which does not reduce it to only an economic strategy. Rather, it sees as a political project to subvert a state's role further. A style of politics characterized by market economy, centrism, conviction politics, and authoritarian populism, in which the general public is given unbridled powers. And that can be, in this way, this kind of philosophy can be moralizing. It can convey certain ideas. It can convince people about those ideas. It can be polarizing. It can divide people based on those ideas, based on those strategies. And at the same time, it can be punitive also. By that we mean that it can possibly be punishing to the people who do not follow such things. The kind of regulation which is being introduced as a result of neoliberal policies can be testing for people. That's what they mean by being punitive. Closely interrelated is the third approach, which views neoliberalism through the lens of an economic framework in the specifically economic policies based on or with the purpose of designing an increased competition in the market and among individuals. So neoliberalism promotes highly competitive markets in which less developed markets, let's say of less developing countries, are clearly at disadvantage. Then fourth approach interprets neoliberalism as the form taken by the capitalist offensive against organized labor after the crisis of post-war mode of growth. So it clearly is a deviation from what happened after Second World War, and the form of welfare state which gained its currency that time was challenged by neoliberal philosophies, and now the more emphasis is on free markets, on individual freedoms, individual choices for that matter. So as a form of this probably is a new and more strict form of capitalism according to the critics of neoliberalism. Neoliberal globalization helping to shift the balance of power towards capitalist interest in all spheres, financial, industrial, and transnational forms of capital transfer. So capital can flow frequently, and in this way, this flow actually strengthens the business interest of larger multinational companies or larger states in the world, and this is not possible that it doesn't have a cost. It has a cost in form of always diminishing development scale of less developed countries. Fifth approach situates neoliberalism and its specific hegemonic rise in its material practices and policies, and this way it sees that how various aspects of globalization or neoliberalism prospered, what kind of components actually or social political developments actually contributed to the development of neoliberalism or its philosophies. It's based on free trade, transnational production, and the free movement of financial capital, and this is how we see the growth of neoliberalism. And these approaches are not mutually exclusive, rather they can contribute to each other. In a single project of critical discourse analysis, we can examine a simple discourse about neoliberalism with more than one of these previously mentioned approaches. It can help us in developing some analytical examinations of various economic policies, practices involving capitalism or capitalist-driven market rules. And it also helps us to look at the new forms of governance of the governments under neoliberal philosophies. It can help us to know the discourses about economic competitiveness. Then some of these approaches, including the ideological approach, are also connected to the nature of neoliberal governmentality. That means the form of government which has emerged based on neoliberal philosophies, and that which focuses on the disciplining of the self. At the surface, it gives new ideas and new opportunities to the individuals to prosper themselves, but at the same time, it might hamper their desire to progress, because their desire to progress might be against the interest of a larger business industry or anything else. So it works on releasing the state from its social support obligations. So in this new philosophy, the state does not believe, or it believes less now on the social welfare or its obligation to provide social welfare. Rather, it claims to provide entrepreneur opportunities to individuals, which would help individuals prosper more frequently than previous years. So in this way, there has been both sides of discourses about neoliberalism or neoliberal philosophies. On the one side, we get staunch supporters of this philosophy, and on the other side, we have strong critics who believe that this neoliberal philosophy has actually increased the power of state, and it has directed this power now directly to individuals.